Brothers has set the release date for the next mystery Denis Villeneuve movie, as well as for the next iteration in the Monsterverse Saga. I'm Brendan Sem for the New Wave Nerds. Subscribe down below for more nerd content and commentary. Now let's get into the news. From Deadline, Warner Brothers and Legendary date Denis Villeneuve movie for holiday 2026. Smart money's on Dune 3, and next Monsterverse pick is early 2027. Let the speculation begin. The untitled event film Warner Brothers had dated for December 2026 now is being billed as a Denis Villeneuve event film, and sources said that the studio and Legendary are holding the date with expectations that he wraps up the spectacular trilogy with Dune 3. Hurdles still have to be cleared as they're still working on script and locking cast, but is the project Villeneuve has been working on. So that's, we're sort of assuming that it's going to be the third Dune movie, Dune Messiah. That's certainly what I'm hoping for. That is a story that I think would be really, really interestingly told, and I believe Denis can tell it in the way that it needs to be told. It's a book that sort of doesn't necessarily translate to film as well as the first one does. There's much less action involved, and it sort of really tears down the character of Paul Muad'Dib. Frank Herbert wrote Dune Messiah as a response to the positive praise that Paul Atreides had received after the first book. He wrote this Dune Messiah as an answer to say, look, this is not the hero's journey. This is not the story of somebody who comes in and saves the world and everyone is the better for it. No, this is the tale of tragedy. This is the tale of somebody who, despite the best intentions, has set the world on a darker path. And that I think that's going to be really, really interesting to see. Denis has shown that he can make films that are incredibly beautiful with amazing dialogue, incredible performance. The cinematography is, I'm sure, going to be up to snuff with relation to the first two Dune movies. And so I'm very, 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 very excited for this. Now, it is worth noting, obviously, as the article mentions, it's speculation, right? We don't know for a fact that this is going to be Dune Messiah. There's still a lot up in the air. There's no finalized script. There's no, the cast list hasn't been finalized. There's really been no news with regards to Dune Messiah as of late, except for previous statements from Denis where he said that he wasn't going to do Dune Messiah as the next film in his filmography. He wanted to take a break and go practice or work on some other projects before returning to the world of Dune. Now, there's been reporting that perhaps recently Denis has changed his mind, which, could go either way. Personally, I would be fine waiting for Dune Messiah if it meant that the script and the film itself were all the better for it. And I really do want to see other projects from Denis. I want to see what else he's got in the chamber here. I know in previous, he's talked about how one of the films that has been a passion project for him has been a biopic about Cleopatra, as well as there's Denis is attached to direct an adaptation of the Annie Jacobsen novel. I believe it's called Nuclear War, A Scenario. An incredible book. Annie Jacobsen is one of the most important journalists of our time. She's doing truly amazing work out there, and that book is incredible. The way that it goes through and dissects what happens after the beginning, after a nuclear war breaks out on a minute-by-minute, second-by-second basis. It's a fascinating read, and so I definitely recommend picking it up. And I think it is well-suited to Denis' talents. I think he could make, a beautiful, beautiful film with a resounding message that is incredibly important in this day and age, and he could do it in a way where the effects actually feel good as well, and they look amazing. We've shown through some of his other work that Denis really understands the importance of having up-to-snuff CGI, and so I'm really, really excited for that. I hope, I guess, that this next film is Dune 3, just because I love Dune Messiah. It's one of the better... in some ways, I think it's better than the first book. Not in all of them, obviously. There's no way that you can truly top the first one. But there are definitely aspects of Messiah that I enjoy more than Dune 1 and more than Children of Dune. So I think it's going to be a really interesting story. But like I said, I'm not opposed to waiting for it if it means that we get to hold out and ultimately have a better script for it. Denis strikes me as the kind of guy, especially following the success of parts 1 and 2, he strikes me as somebody who is well aware of the bar that he has set for not just his films in general, but specifically this universe. And so I get the sense that he's going to be honing and editing and revising until it's something about which he can feel proud. And because of that, I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with waiting, even if it means we're going to have to wait longer than 2 years. If it means we're going to wait 3, even 4 years. 4 years might be pushing it a little bit just based on the actors' time schedules and I guess no, because Messiah, there is like an 18-year time jump or something like that. Is it that long? I don't know if it's that long. I don't think it's that long, actually, now that I say that. I haven't read, the last time I read Dune Messiah was like maybe 2-3 months ago, so I'm a little lacking in my knowledge there. But personally, I would be okay if we have to wait until 27 or I guess, 28. As long as it means that the film itself is going to be very good. And I've got a lot of faith in Denis for what we're going to do with this. There's obviously a lot going on in the Dune universe. We also have Dune Prophecy, the future HBO series that is going to be a prequel and tell the tale of the rise of the Bene Gesserit sisterhood. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. I hope that the showrunners are communicating with Denis so that we have a continuity of CGI, of storytelling, of just story in general. I hope that there's not incongruence between the two of those. I hope that they feel like they are actually related and not just two completely separate properties that happen to exist in the same universe. Now, granted, even if that is the case, there's not really as much to complain about because Dune Prophecy is set years and years before the events of the Dune series, so it would make sense that there are cultural, technological differences as well. But I do hope that we have a level of continuity and something that signifies that all of these things take place in a shared universe under a shared creative vision. Now, as we mentioned in the headline, that is not the only major announcement to come out of Warner Brothers. We also have the announcement of the next Godzilla Kong movie. The studio and producer has also set a March 26, 2027 date for their other major franchise, the next installment of the Godzilla Kong saga. Right now, no commitment from Warner Brothers or Legendary, but stay tuned for more. Now, I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I'm not necessarily a huge Godzilla fan. King Kong is one of my favorite movies, the 2005 one. One of my favorite movies of all time. King Kong's such an iconic character, but I don't necessarily like the way that the Monsterverse has taken him. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I don't really like Kong Skull Island. I don't really like that iteration of Kong. To me, he feels like a big old hairy man, whereas Peter Jackson's King Kong feels like a gorilla, which I think is perhaps an important aspect of the character. I just don't necessarily enjoy that. Not that the film itself was bad. I thought Kong Skull Island was decent. It was enjoyable to watch. I thought the original Godzilla was pretty good. I think that was even directed by Gareth Edwards, who I'm a big fan of. I haven't been a fan of the other sequels since then. What do we have? Godzilla, King of Monsters, and Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire is the most recent entry. I haven't seen the most recent one, but I did not like the King of Monsters. I believe that's what it's called. Let me just double check here. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the Godzilla franchise. I'm not a huge fan. I've never really been a big fan of just the character in general. And I'd forgotten I said King of the Monsters, but I'd forgotten Godzilla versus Kong, which is the melding of those two. I did not like this one at all. I didn't really enjoy it. Granted, I haven't seen it in a long time. When did this come out? 2021. I must have seen it. If this is 2021, this might have been one of the ones that they simultaneously released in theaters and on the streaming platform, so that I might have watched it then, but I just did not. It was not enjoyable. It was not really that fun to me. Like I said, I didn't think Godzilla King of the Monsters was that good either, but I did moderately enjoy the first one. I felt like it did a very good job of reintroducing the character and doing it in a way that sort of increased the suspense and made you wonder, right? The actual reveal of Godzilla, if I remember correctly, was very, very well done in this. We didn't get a full shot of him until more or less towards the end of the film, if I remember. But like I said, I'm not really interested in any of these at all. I'm definitely not gonna go see Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire while it's in theaters. This is not something that I'm gonna spend money on. It just looks absolutely ridiculous. It just looks ridiculous. I mean, look at this. What the heck has Kong got going on here? Why's he got a metal thing in his hand? That's a pretty cool still, to be fair. But I mean, and so look here, Kong using an axe, I'm not necessarily as opposed to that as I am like whatever the heck he's got going on. She was in Thor, right? Or no, not Thor, Iron Man 3. I was like, why do I recognize her? Anyways, yeah, look, what is this? Why does he look like Bumblebee here? This is so dumb. No offense to whoever made this film, but this is ridiculous. I'm definitely not clamoring to see this by any definition, by any stretch of the imagination. But I know that they have been, bit of fan favorites. They haven't gone over critically well. I believe Godzilla X Kong is actually performing pretty well in the box office right now. Interestingly enough, the next film, I believe, will not have the same director attached as Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire or Godzilla versus Kong. Adam Weingart, I believe his name, has admitted that he will likely not be returning for this. And so I'm curious to know who they're going to tap to do this. This is a little bit weird to me. But, ultimately, it's not really something that I care about. This segment is mostly just for me to talk about how excited I am for Dune. I think it's just going to be absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to see what they've got going on here. I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think this announcement, this untitled Denis event film, do you think it is Dune 3? Actually, perhaps a better question is, do you think Denis will be finished with the screenplay in time to fill this slot? It's an interesting slot. Holiday of 2026. I believe this is the same release date for Star Wars, the new one with Rey. I don't know if it actually has a name. Let's see here. Just gonna pick the random first article we see from World of Real. Star Wars Rey movie isn't shooting anytime soon. That doesn't necessarily help me. I was looking for the name, but I can't find it. Let's see here. Nope. I felt like I saw a listing for the next one. No, it doesn't say. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that I had heard that this is set to be roughly around the same time period. So that's curious to me. I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to actually happen, right, when the box office rolls around. If this is paneled or programmed rather opposite the upcoming Rey film, how does that affect things? I'm sure Disney is expecting, despite the fact that Star Wars has been getting some heavy criticism as of late, the reaction to The Acolyte has not been wonderful. I'm assuming that they are of the mindset that, look, Star Wars always brings in money. People will always return. And so I'm assuming that they think this film is still going to break $1 billion. But I'm wondering how Dune 3 is going to affect that, right? How is that going to alter things? It would be crazy to me if we actually see Dune 3 top the next Star Wars movie in the box office. That would probably be beginning to spell the end of Star Wars as this massive franchise. Not the actual end, right? Because even if it gets beaten out by Dune 3, it's still going to make, hundreds of millions of dollars. Despite the fact that everybody is criticizing The Acolyte, people are still definitely going to go watch it. So it's not like Disney is going to collapse. It's not like they're going to stop making Star Wars projects. That's not what I'm referring to. I just think it would be interesting for Star Wars not to beat out a film like this. Dune is something that has also been heavily or highly regarded by fans and critics alike. So I'm curious to see how it would position itself opposite Star Wars. How would it turn out? I'm not 100% sure. But go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. What do you think? Do you think Denis is going to be able to finish this in time? If we have a race between Dune 3 and Star Wars, who do you think wins out? If you'd asked me a couple years ago, I would have said easily Star Wars. Easily, without a doubt. But given the reaction to the Star Wars projects we've seen, given the way that the company has been doing its messaging, the way that people are leaving Star Wars, it fills me with a little bit of pause. I'm not sure, especially when it's opposite something like Dune, which is, again, highly regarded. The first one had its detractors, people saying that it was too slow, which I respect. It definitely was not as action-packed. But Dune 2 turned that all on its head. It was, beautiful from a cinematography, from an effects, from even a sound design standpoint, the direction, the performance, absolutely amazing. And so it was loved by both, the critics and the fans alike. And I believe it grossed much higher than the first one. I want to say like 2 weeks after the release date, there was the news that it had the franchise as a whole had crossed the $1 billion mark. So I wonder what it's at now. Probably up to, I would guess, just pulling numbers out of thin air, 700-800 million just for Dune 2, perhaps. And so if the trend continues, and if Denis can step up his game and continue this trend, and make Dune 3 as amazing as the other two, then we're looking at a really interesting holiday season for 2026. But like we said, this is all speculation. We don't know if this is even going to be Dune. We don't know if it's going to be the adaptation of nuclear war. I don't know. Let me know down below what you guys think. Subscribe and like the video for more content, and we'll be back here tomorrow with a brand new news segment, and I will see you guys then.